Hi guys, Shugu here, and today I want to talk about a topic that has been bugging my mind a little bit recently. If you're an Arch user and you read the title, please do not come to my throat. I'm just another, I'm a beginner Arch user. Okay, I've been using Arch for a year now or so, and I don't think I've came to the point where I thought that Arch Linux was hard in any moment that I was using. A little bit of history beforehand. Arch Linux, as you know, and you're probably here, is the most difficult distro, and you should be away from it if you're a beginner, and you're gonna blow your foot with it, and you're gonna destroy your system all the time. Well, Arch was the second distro that I ever used in my life. It was the 1.5, as you can say, because I installed Linux Mint, and then right after I installed Arch on my computer with Hyperland. So I ran the two of them simultaneously, but Mint was my main computer that I was using for college and stuff, and I wanted to be more stable. And Arch was on my desktop, and I wanted to play around with and learn more. And I want to debunk the two things that people say is the hard part of Linux, of Arch Linux. That is the installation process and rolling release. There's also the AUR if you want to talk about that later, but I don't think that's a big problem. So, first of all, the installation process. As you saw before, you probably saw some videos of install Arch Linux with me, and it's a 30-minute video about installing Arch Linux. And well, that is true. You can install Arch Linux like that, and I think it's good if you want to learn to install like that and understand a little bit more. But there is a script that you can run that is called Arch install, and you write Arch install on your terminal while you're installing Arch Linux, and it becomes exactly like any other distro that you're installing. The difference is you're selecting stuff on the terminal, not in a GUI, but still it's the same thing. And then you press enter, and then it installs the system for you, and you can use it with no problem. Well, the only downside of that, as you can see, as I can see as well, is a little bit more bloated. And by bloated, I mean it comes with like 5 extra utilities that you might not use. And for me, that's okay. It's better than Windows that comes with like a dozen applications that I'm never gonna use. Is 20 gigs. I don't know how big Windows is nowadays, but it's not like that. It's not as clean as a regular Arch Linux. That is just a terminal. And I think if you want the cleanest possible OS, you should stay with the formatting everything on the terminal. But if you just want a system to use Arch install. Not gonna shoot your foot. The second thing is the rolling release aspect of it. There's a very big YouTuber that talks about Linux. There is Some Ordinary Gamers, Mudahar. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He went away from Arch Linux recently, I think last month, because he broke his system on a all system update. And I don't know about you guys, but he seems like a very experienced person on Linux, and he's the last person that I would expect to break his system. But by being a very experienced person, I know that probably he runs so many stuff on his system that is probably very easy to lose track of what is compatible with what and what's gonna break. And he uses virtual machines, and then he divides his GPU in many GPUs, and then he does and to be honest, I think the more you do, and that's a fact on your system, you might break it. And not only with Arch Linux, but any system, if you put a bunch of stuff there, you mess with a bunch of important like kernel level, you're gonna break something eventually, and you're gonna update and it's gonna break everything. I don't think it's necessarily an Arch problem, but maybe he has a better reason for that and he understands it more, and that's completely acceptable. But for me, if you're using Arch Linux as a regular user, I mean, I'm a programmer. I do computer science in college. I need to do a few programs here and there, and that's the most that I use, like low level. I run some virtual machines sometimes, and I mess with 3D Blender and stuff when I need to. Some CAD, some slicers for 3D printing. I do all of that, but I never go in the most down level of the system that I can explode everything. And I think if you don't do that as well, Arch is not going to be a problem. It's going to be a regular OS. If you're the type of person that stays 99% of your time on the browser, you can use any OS. That is going to be a problem. But I think Arch Linux is for people that want to do a little bit more. But if you want to play more and use the AUR, come to Arch Linux. You're not going to explode everything with the system update. and you can just read the wiki beforehand if you're scared that you're gonna break something. But yeah, and the other thing is the AUR. Some people think that AUR is very bad because you can install a bunch of stuff and break your system. Yeah, you can, because it's like any other system, and you're installing on Windows. If you install a bunch of stuff, you can break it. I don't think that's a necessarily a Arch problem, but I think when people talk about that, about the AUR, it's like, since it's user repository, a lot of people can put what they want there, and if you install some things that might be out of date and some things that are not well supported, you might break something. But I don't think, if you have a little bit of critical thinking, I guess you can do that. Like, if you only install, like, I'm gonna install Python by the AUR, I'm gonna install Blender by the AUR, you're not gonna have problems. I'm gonna install NeoKitty123, that is a little avatar that stays on my desktop running around and takes my mouse, done by Joseph123, that was logged in the last time 10 years ago. I think that might break your system, and when you update it, that might happen. But I don't think you should be that scared, especially if you're new to Linux. I'm gonna say it: if you're new to Linux, go to Arch Linux as soon as possible. If you break your system beforehand, it's better because you learned something. And yeah, the only time I broke my system was not Arch's fault. I was stupid. What did I do? I forgot. I did something stupid. I did a video about that, but I forgot what I did. So do Arch Linux. Go to Arch Linux. It's very good. More Arch people, the less people can say I use Arch, by the way, because it's not that hard. I don't know why I use Arch, by the way. It becomes such a stigma. I think it's just people want to be different or something like that. But yeah, Arch is cool. So yeah, come to Arch Linux.